Yes, guys, welcome back to flatcapeurotalk. We will be doing a big Champions League and Europa League breakdown. We'll also as well be kind of going over my original group predictions for this one. Joined by me, who joined me last time for it, is Darius. Darius, how you keeping, my man? Think you're on mute.
I don't know. Sorry, guys. I kind of got the hair out today, so I'm all over the place. It's kind of just all of the all the information is being stored there, and it's a bit of
Jimmy
overload at the
Neutron.
moment. So I just gotta just calm down, and I'm just glad to be here to talk about Champions League football because you know what we feel about, how we feel about European football, and I can't get enough of it. And to be fair, I think we've got two competitions that are very, very close in quality of teams. So watching Wednesday and Thursday football is going to be quite fun. This year, I think. So yeah, let's just basically get into it and start talking about all the teams.
Let's get into it. Yeah, everybody, the reason I am kind of rocking the blanket look right now is
Oh,
because, I did get the booster shot last night or yesterday morning, actually. And, kind of, woke up in the middle of the night having a bit of the fever shakes. Kind of looked like, honestly, like Harry Winks did, in the away match against Vitesse, where I was just shaking, looking like I was in the trenches and whatnot. But I feel a little bit better now. But I would say the height of that, kind of booster, kind of achingness and stuff was in the middle of the night, which I would say if I were to pick any time, not maybe the worst time, I would actually argue, because, just try to fall back asleep. But that is the reason I'm rocking the blanket, just to, make myself feel a bit more cozy today. But let's just welcome some people into the Flat Cap Scout building. We got Elias in the building saying, "Hey, Jack, big up yourself. Real Madrid will win the Champions League and Real Sociedad will win the Europa League." He's going
I
for a
like that
Spanish
shout.
double here. I
I like
hope
the
they win
remedy
it.
shout.
They are my second team after Tottenham. I think he maybe Real Sociedad. He means, let me know, Elias, if Sociedad. That's a good pick right there. That's not a bad second team to go by. For me, it's Hertha Berlin over with Jovetic land, and it's actually going quite well over there. Jovetic is banging them in, as I always knew he would. Elias says, and everyone like and subscribe. Really appreciate it, my man. Zoe's joining us. Big up, Zoe. Big up, boys. Looking forward to this one. I hope you are, Zoe, and always absolute legend you are. Thank you so much for joining us. Cody Max saying, "Yes, gentlemen, bring out the popcorn. It's Champions League time. We're going to break it down for you, Cody. We're going to break it down for you." Pete from the lane, big yourself up, my man. Also, thank you very much for all the support, brother. And George saying, "Big up, Jack and Darius." Big up, George. Big up yourself, my man. Big up yourself. No wonder I have no ball knowledge, Cody Max, because I'm bald. No, my man. I mean,
It's all there.
Zidane.
Well, it's not even all there anymore, Cody, is it? So I don't know
I
what
would
to
head
do
into
anymore.
coaching, Cody. I would head into coaching. You probably just start at the under sixes, work your way up to Champions League levels, because, Zidane, it looked like he didn't know what he was doing, but somehow he stumbled upon, two or three Champions Leagues in a row. So think about it that way. The bald managers have done quite well in times past. Also, as well, I do believe, Spurs are hiring, new hitmen to replace the hitman that we already have, in the backroom staff as well. So, Cody, there are plenty of jobs out there in the football industry for the ones lacking a bit of hair up top. But everybody, I think we'll start, but maybe actually this will be a bit interesting, Darius. Just, what are your thoughts on maybe that bit of a fiasco, yesterday in terms of the group draw? Apparently it was some sort of computer error, some sort of like computer program that they rely on. It seems like something that, an excuse that you and I would make in uni for something like that. Oh, the printer wasn't working, I guess it didn't send, the email, something like that. It seemed a bit novice of an excuse, but what do you make of that whole fiasco? Is it big deal? Is it not so big a deal? How do you feel about it?
I don't think it's a big deal. I just think I think it's extremely
Just funny.
hilarious and extremely embarrassing how sort of an establishment and company as big and sort of as responsible for footballing regulations and rules as UEFA can make such a stupid mistake as getting a draw wrong. And I think I read that the issue was sort of Manchester United's ball not being in the same or being in the same pot or not being in the same pot as Atletico. It was something absolutely ridiculous as well. So I mean, you can only laugh at it. It is UEFA after all, but my lord, like how on earth do you even mess up a draw? It's just absolutely ridiculous. And also, can I just say, I'm not going to say the word, but a big fu to UEFA because I wanted to see that Man U PSG game, and then you go and flip the script, but you gave us Real Madrid PSG, so I can't be too mad. I might see Ramos return to the Bernabeu, so that's something to look forward to.
I think the Man U PSG one is good on paper, but maybe tactically, I would say actually not as interesting if you ask me. But we will break that down. Simon Stevenson, it's good to be in the building. Good to see you, my man. Tato as well. Good to see you, my man. Always good to see you. Absolute, representative of the Georgian, fan base as well. A man that was able to recommend, a lot this channel to a lot of his Georgian friends, which I'm completely indebted to. Really appreciate you, my man. And also Kavicha when he comes over. I will be probably the biggest fan in the world of the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. I mean, especially Darius as well. We both love the guy. So,
it's one of those things where you wait. I kind of am just waiting for him to get a European move because I like him so much. I don't even mind if he doesn't join Tottenham. I just want to see him sort of on a bigger stage.
Someplace where we can actually catch more of him. I completely agree. Alexander Hilton, big yourself up. Thank you for joining us, my man. So let's break down maybe quickly where I went wrong, everybody, on my Champions League group predictions. And we will start. I think we're starting. I guess we're starting high up with Group F, Group G and Group H, and we'll work our way down to maybe the more interesting groups when you kind of think about it. Man United, Atalanta, Villarreal, Young Boys. What I did get wrong, everybody, was Villarreal and Atalanta. Probably when I think about it, I could see it. I kind of saw it both ways at the times. I just feel like Atalanta had been making it to the knockout rounds in the past few seasons. Made me think that, Villarreal are more of a Europa League team. Almost might prefer to be in the Europa League, like kind of like Sevilla to a degree. But, instead it's going to be Atalanta. And, Darius, I guess I got this one wrong, but, I'm not really too, kind of hard done by it. It seemed like it could have been up to any of them.
I mean, it's one of them where I guess all the Europa League teams are sort of breathing a sigh of relief because Emery's now sort of remained in that Champions League. So at least they all have a chance to win that Europa League now. Because if he was in there, I would have just said, yeah, Villarreal are going to win it because we all know what Emery's record in that Europa League is like. But to be honest with you, I think it is actually a bit of a surprise, to be honest, because it's not that Villarreal have got a bad team. I actually think Villarreal have got a pretty decent team, to be honest, and a few individual players that, for me, again, I love.
Danjuma killing it right now.
I will always love Foyth, but there were a couple of attacking players that I was going to mention. Danjuma, one of them, and Jeremy Pino, another one, who I think is an absolutely incredible talent. So they've got players. They've got a good manager, I think. I really do believe he's a good manager in Unai Emery. So, yeah, it's a surprise because I think me and you, Jack, and a lot of sort of your football fans and fans of the channel love Atalanta. Just the way they play and sort of the individuals they have in their team. I sort of I'm always attracted to Atalanta, but if I actually am thinking a bit logically, it isn't really a surprise because that Villarreal team are decent. And to be fair, they only finished a point behind Manchester United as well. So it wasn't like they were like a set second place team. They were definitely competing for that top spot. So United didn't have a great group stage. They got through, fine, whatever, but they need to be a lot better if they're going to sort of
it was a little
compete in that knockout stage. And they have the quality and the players to compete in that knockout stage. Maybe not win, but yeah, I think everything in that group, barring obviously the tightness of it, I think was pretty much straightforward. And you know what, Atalanta being in Europa League might actually probably be better, and they might actually go on to win that potentially. So I'm actually happy, and we weren't that far off, to be honest. I'm
maybe not
quite
maybe
proud
not
of that prediction. Yeah.
Group G, which I actually thought was a bit of the hipsters group,
yes,
to a degree, because it was kind of up for anybody to win this one. I got this one completely wrong, just completely wrong, and it's actually quite hilarious because this would be one where I thought I would get it kind of spot on, and most people would kind of most people I feel like overlooked this group, but when you actually think about it, it was one of those groups where really they're almost all these teams are on the same exact level to a degree. And it was maybe difficult to kind of predict this one, but at the same time, I had a lot of fun predicting it. But yet again, I got it completely wrong. Sevilla, obviously, I believe, did move on to the Europa League stage. But, Wolfsburg got fourth. Wolfsburg were starting off so hot. And then just went so cold later on. And as well as, Lille weren't starting off too hot either. And then they're on an absolute huge, great patch of form. And then Red Bull Salzburg, who I don't know why I kind of threw them to the side. I should, give them a bit more respect, give some of those Red Bull kind of coaching staff a bit more respect. But Darius, I mean, this one I did get completely wrong. I mean, maybe any sort of, insights on any of these clubs that maybe caught your eye?
I believe, just before I sort of mentioned the clubs individually, I believe that this was a group we sort of said, if it's going to go down to the wire, it will go down to the wire in this group. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, it did go down to the last match day, deciding who finished in this grouip sort of top and second. So we were right about that. I sort of knew that was going to happen because, as you said, it was a pretty much hipsterish sort of second string teams that you don't really associate with the countries that they're from, but apart from Salzburg, obviously. But yeah, no, I enjoyed this group. I only watched a few games. The reason I watched a few games was strictly because of Karim Adeyemi. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm completely in love with that player. He's an absolutely insane group stage, and it's only a matter of time, really, from what I've heard and what I've seen, that Dortmund come in and snap him up and take him next season or potentially in January. So if he does get his move to Dortmund as a result of this group stage and his performances, then Yeah, more power to him. He deserves it. He was absolutely fantastic. Salzburg altogether were okay. They weren't the best, but they got through second place, and I'm happy they got through second place because I want to see them in the knockout stages. And then Lille, I mean, who thought Lille would top their group? But it was pretty crazy to see that, to be honest. I thought Lille would struggle. I know they've struggled in the league, but I thought they would struggle quite hard in this group stage. So
Yeah, I thought they were on the downhill, like, I really
yeah,
did, and somehow
it
they've
was
found a new patch of form. It's kind
it
of
was
crazy. I
crazy
think
to
they're
see that.
unbeaten in, like, 9 fixtures as well,
Yeah,
they topped the group, so I got
yeah.
that completely wrong as well. But
So
yeah.
they didn't get a very good. So they didn't get a very good reward for topping the group, as in the opposition that they got in the next round. But I mean, again, in terms of individual players, I think Jonathan David's the one that really was spurring Lille on, and has been in terms of this whole season. He's been amazing as well, and hopefully, like I said, we can see these two teams maybe get into that next round. But obviously, looking at the draw, Lille, Chelsea, and RB Salzburg, Bayern Munich. So I don't see them going further. But you know what? There's individual players on both those teams which I think potentially could bolster their career as a result of getting into that knockout stage. And definitely Karim Adeyemi. He's one to watch, and he really did, for me, burst onto the scene from this Champions League. I didn't really know about him before, but he's been amazing, and I just want to see more of him. So yeah, I'm happy with the fact that those two went through, but we were literally completely wrong, literally completely wrong.
The ironic thing about this one is, like, when you have so many teams that are on the same level in one group, that does mean that when they get into the knockout rounds, they will then be matched with the team that, is probably not the one that they would like to be matched with. So it's actually, despite it being, I think we discussed this before, I actually thought all the groups were spectacularly set up, this way, because before I thought the group stages, I love the group stages, but, they've been a bit kind of predictable before. And this one was not so predictable, probably hence why, I got so many wrong.
It's normally like your two teams that are good and your two teams that are sort of lacking. And you see that a lot, but just even looking at the Group F, those three teams, maybe bar Man United, are quite similar in quality, maybe Young Boys as well, but they all have a chance of getting somewhere. So I agree with you completely there, mate, 100%.
Yeah. Group H, I think we can kind of zip by it. We kind of predicted it. I will say, though, that I believe there's some great goals in this one. Sardar Azmoun, definitely was killing it over at Zenit. There was that great game between Chelsea and Zenit for the last one, even though it had no consequence whatsoever. Of course, Juventus topped the group, and Chelsea actually got runners up, which is a bit of a surprise. Malmo, I kind of thought they would kind of sneak into this one, maybe into the Europa League, maybe because they have, supposedly some decent players. There's some, big center back or left back or something that a lot of people rate, who I will probably do a scout report on. But I think this one was quite predictable. So we will move on to Group C, Group D, and Group E. Group C, this one, again, I probably got it, a bit wrong with Dortmund, falling out, probably the biggest knockout. When you think about it, maybe, Dortmund being in the Europa League is a bit dangerous because they could easily take that Europa League. I feel like maybe a decent opportunity for a trophy for Marco Reus and Erling Haaland and whatnot. But Sporting, probably, I know everybody like Ajax, they've absolutely brilliant team to watch, inverted wing backs, going up the pitch, Mazraoui to, Daley Blint, who's been killing it over there, to Anthony, to Sebastian Haller, who's been sensational. It's all been beautiful over at Ajax, which we definitely will probably discuss later for, how far maybe they might go. But probably the big two stories from this one is Dortmund dropping out and, maybe Sporting somehow sneaking in.
I'm very sad. I'm very sad. I can't believe Dortmund got knocked out into Europa League. It's not disappointing because Sporting are champions of their league, and they did it quite convincingly as well. And I do believe they have a good team. I know they lost. Isn't Mendes went to PSG during the summer? Obviously, they lost him, but they've cultivated a team that's difficult to beat, and it was proven in this group. I mean, Ajax run away in this group. They were fantastic, and I actually think Ajax are going to be a little bit of a surprise to some people. I think that you can't underestimate Ajax and a well, sort of just any team that's well coached and has an idea of what they want to do. Because I mean, Erik ten Hag, he's got them playing some amazing football. He's got, I mean, Sebastian Haller broke the record of Erling Haaland, who we all thought, that record's not going to get broken anytime soon. And he goes and does it the next season and then scores more. Was it 10 goals in the group stage? So it's quite scary to see how far that Ajax team go. I think they scored 20 goals in their league, in their group as well. If I just double check, I believe, 20 goals and 5 conceded. So I just want to see what this Ajax team can do, really and truly. I'm very excited. And again, Dortmund, if we are going to talk about winners of that Europa League, I think there's only one other big shock, but maybe not as big a shock to some people that got into Europa League. But yeah, Dortmund, not great. Hopefully they can win it, and they should win it. And if I'm being honest, they definitely should win it.
Yeah, well broken down. I don't have anything else to say. Group D, Real Madrid, Inter Milan, Shakhtar Donetsk, and Sheriff. So I guess, the one that I did get wrong in this stage was, maybe Shakhtar, a team who I do always kind of have a bit of a soft spot for. But, this one I almost got spot on, so I will say, I feel pretty proud of that. The only one so far that I've gotten close to spot on. Sheriff, though, was definitely the big surprise story. The team that no one knew about from Moldova, absolutely showing up, the likes of Shakhtar. They gave Inter Milan a good game as well. They gave Real Madrid a huge upset, too, but they kind of just dissipated. They kind of faded away after that. But I mean, making it into the Europa League, like for Sheriff, is just ridiculous. Even making it, of course, to the Champions League. I
think even getting points in your first group stage is an achievement, because I just saw Sheriff as getting mollywopped 6-7-0 each time. And the goal that they scored, I cannot remember the player's name for the life of me, but the goal he scored 2 goals against Real Madrid. The second goal he scored, the winner, was unbelievable. Even I got a little bit hyped, and I remember watching that game, and it was amazing. And you know what? As much as it's like I don't know anything about them, I couldn't tell you one of their players, I actually want to just see them go and do as much as they can in that Europa League, because for your first time to be in European competition in a Moldovan club, I think it's absolutely amazing that they beat Real Madrid. And I hope that they can actually sort of maybe just get into the next round or a semi-final. You never know what can happen. If you can beat Real Madrid, then I think you've got enough motivation to work hard and potentially do quite well in that Europa League. So I just want to see Sheriff win as many games as possible, to be honest.
I hope, we'll break down maybe, who they drew, but, I hope to see Sheriff more and more and more, and we get to learn more about them. Group E, this one, again, actually almost got it, spot on, except Barcelona dropping out into the Europa League for this one. I actually, funnily enough, did say plenty of times that it's actually weirdly a blessing in disguise for Barcelona.
I remember now
to be in the Europa League, because I was kind of thinking to myself, I was like, I feel like they're just going to get destroyed if they go into the knockout rounds. Maybe they make it past the round of 16, maybe, but it probably won't be easy. And then whenever they come up against a formidable opponent, then I know they would just get destroyed. I mean, Barcelona are just not the same team. Of course, they're not, coached by the same pedigree of coaches anymore, as well. They got absolutely rammed by Bayern each time they came up against them. I believe even a friend of mine texted me, goes like, that Barcelona looked pretty good. And, like the first half against like Bayern in the second, time they played them. And I was kind of like, did you not see like the 7 sitters that Bayern just like, did not decide to put away?
Thomas Muller absolutely loves playing against Barcelona. If I was Barcelona, I'd genuinely get a restraining order on Thomas Muller, because I've never seen him have a bad game against them ever, not once. But sorry,
since 2013. No, I love it. You're after my own heart with that comment. You're after my own heart with that comment, because I'm a huge Thomas Muller fan. Always have been. And he's probably, probably actually cry when he retires at some stage, because seriously, brought me so many memories. And he's also kind of a funny guy as well, especially since the Germans aren't really known for their humor. He certainly is. But Barcelona probably, I would say, I think the Europa League is their level. Actually, it's kind of crazy to say that.
It is crazy.
And I don't even think they'll do very well in the Europa League, to be honest. I really don't. I feel like they'll come up against a team and probably lose out.
Is Napoli their first opposition, I believe?
Yeah, I think they got fairly matched there. Yeah.
So, and that's a knockout stage as well. That's not even a round of 16. I believe that's a knockout stage to get into the round of 16. You know what? Correct me if I'm wrong. I do remember you saying, don't sort of sleep on Benfica creeping into that second place in that group stage in our earlier video, because at the end of the day, Barcelona remind me of Arsenal so much, in the sense that, and it's not as bad as Arsenal because they are sort of just entering that stage of decline, but it's almost like they will only be able to sort of sign the players that they want and attract the sort of people that they want based solely on their name and their history. But if I'm going to say anything, I do have quite a lot of ratings for Xavi as a coach and sort of the football that he plays. And I wasn't obviously an Al Sadd fan, and I didn't watch them religiously like that, but I caught a few clips of the way he played, and it resembles the Barcelona that he was playing for. So if anybody's going to sort of get Barcelona out of this bad rut and could, I actually do have a bit of trust in Xavi. If they can win this Europa League, I think that will give all their young players such a big confidence boost to sort of realize that they are very, very, very good players. I mean, they have a very good team. I'm not going to lie to you. They've got good players in that team. It's just the coaching, like you said, the quality of coaching. And I think the expectation gets a little bit too much for those players because it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest club in the world. So, yeah, I think Barcelona are Europa League level, as crazy as that is to say, but I also believe it won't take them long to get out of that rut, and you might see that happen quite soon if they can sign a few players that I've seen them linked with, like you said, Ferran Torres is the Raheem Sterling. If you can get a few players like that in through your door, then you're automatically setting yourself up to be back where you should be, I think. So yeah, it's a shock.
Maybe they'll find some cash under those, beautiful, couches over in Barcelona, I guess. But like supposedly, all those rumors are kind of ridiculous when you think about it, because I mean, there's just no money there.
Financially, financially,
they just aren't allowed to spend. They, it's they actually do owe big money to the banks, and we'll see how that goes. We'll see how the recruitment goes. But Benfica, just quickly, I will say Benfica, a bit of. Would I say they're a shock? Because I did see them actually where they play a lot, and I saw them play in the qualifying stages against especially PSV. They played a fantastic game against Eindhoven, and Jorge Jesus, I believe he is. He looks like the Back to the Future character. He's honestly pretty spectacular as a manager. He's like 80 years old, but he's just throwing. He's almost like Antonio Conte, but 80 years old, throwing his hands everywhere. Going like absolute nutter. Seriously, the guy's just pretty hilarious, I would say. So anybody, please check out Jorge Jesus. Pretty hilarious guy. But as well, though, they're a very, very organized team. They play, a bit of kind of that Portuguese football, which is very defensively solid, good at counterattacking, very compact, very organized, very resolute. But it worked because they gave a good game to Bayern at one stage as well, especially at home. They gave a really good game to Bayern. Bayern eventually, though, through a Leroy Sané free kick, were able to kind of break free from them and kind of let the floodgates open. But obviously, they gave a really good game to Barcelona at one stage. And they don't have bad players because Yaremchuk and Darwin Nunez, a bit of a hipster kind of striking force up top.
I really like Yaremchuk so much. I think he definitely is a hipster player because something about him, I'm like, every time I watch him, I'm like,
and Nunez, I think, is fantastic. Well, they're both hardworking. They're both a bit kind of strong. They're kind of both a bit similar players, actually, if you ask me, as well. It's just kind of good to see, maybe Benfica, all of a sudden, especially because I believe they're in a bit of financial trouble as well, to kind of see them, make it into these knockout rounds. And I will say, they're a team that I've always respected. I do like, a bit of their players over there at this moment in time.
You've just mentioned, sorry to interrupt you, Jab. You've just mentioned Yaremchuk. These Ukrainian players are really growing on me because I completely forgot he was Ukrainian. Him and Malinovsky are just like living in my head rent free at the moment. So thank you for just reminding me how much I do love Yaremchuk. I think him and Malinovsky are just absolutely amazing. So yeah, sorry to interrupt you. I just had to get that out there. No, carry on.
No, again, after my own heart again with that comment. I love the Yankos. I absolutely love the Yankos. Speaking of the Yankos, though, of course, Dynamo Kiev, didn't really, do themselves too many favors. I just don't think, they're at this level. Congrats to them, for able to make it, to the stage. But, probably they would have liked to have been in the Europa League, but unfortunately not so. Going on, though, to the final Group A and Group B, everybody, the absolutely big groups. This one got so close. I really did want to get that prediction for Group A. It was a bit of my hot take sort of prediction where I was back in Jesse Marsch in the beginning. I'm not really the biggest fan of Jesse Marsch.
I can't believe it. He's gone. It's crazy.
I like Jesse Marsch. And then, once I actually started watching Leipzig, I was like, no, this is not going to work out because the guy just doesn't know how to defend. He just doesn't know how to teach defending. Apparently, as well, though, a lot of the Leipzig players, who I guess are tacticians themselves, were not actually satisfied, supposedly, with the tactics that he was giving. They weren't, finite enough. They weren't, detailed enough. They were saying he wasn't actually as meticulous as, they would have liked to have been. And so apparently, they were actually at times, kind of going against, some of his instructions. So I guess Jesse Marsch needs to improve a bit of the man management or a bit of the player management, and also maybe just improve, just his tactics in general. But I was a bit disappointed. I feel like Leipzig still right now play an unbelievable brand of football. I really do love watching them play. They absolutely tore apart Man City in that final match, which really was of no consequence. But still, I mean, I think you'd be kidding yourself if that wasn't a decent Man City side that they put out there, and I thought Leipzig could have won by a whole lot more. They really could won by a whole lot more. So Leipzig, I would say, decent force in the Europa League, certainly decent force. PSG had a few shaky moments, and, we're kind of scraping by the skin of their teeth at times. And Man City, of course, absolutely dominated this group. And, maybe as they should, it's probably, good to see that. And it's honestly, I got pretty embarrassed, with them. It would have been like a Barcelona. I wanted to see them kind of drop down the Europa League and to see how that would have looked, because I am not the biggest Man City fan by any means. So, maybe this one I got a little bit ahead of myself, with this prediction, Darius. But, PSG, Leipzig, Man City, any of these fixtures that you were able to see, they were all great games.
Particularly remember the 6-3 early on between City and Leipzig. That was quite a good game. Remember, obviously, PSG beating Man City. That was a very good game. And I also remember both PSG Man City games were amazing, to be fair. I enjoyed those games a lot. And then the other game I really enjoyed was that final game between Leipzig and City. That was, and you know what as well, before I actually talk about that City Leipzig game, Club Brugge, I don't care if they didn't do very well. Charles de Ketelaere had an amazing group stage and put himself on the map. And I think that, again, it just goes to show that you don't have to do a lot in terms of sort of just playing and having a good, having a good sort of season and good game to be able to actually put yourself on the map. Again, Hans van Aken, another player who I would not mind being anywhere near the
I like team. I love that you said
player. That. And Noah Lang as well. I thought Noah Lang against Club Brugge's final game against PSG, Noah Lang was really, really, really good, even though they got beat quite badly. So I think
keep an eye on Club Brugge. Keep an eye on Club Brugge.
I think they don't have anything to sort of to feel bad about. I thought they've got a good little setup there, and they always have talent coming out there. But that RB Leipzig Man City game stood out the most for me when Leipzig won, because that midfield trio of I think it was Lima, Szoboszlai, and Campbell, or it might have been Lima, Forsberg, and Campbell. I think that's what it was, Lima, Forsberg, and Campbell. That to me proved everything about how a midfield should play. And I just look at those midfielders and I look at our midfielders and it makes me feel genuinely sick.
I love Conrad Lymon. I actually love Conrad Lymon.
Conrad Lymon and Emil Forsberg. Oof.
So underspoken about Conrad Lymon, really is. He's box to box. His I really want to see, like, that guy feels like he could sprint like a marathon. Like, seriously, like he seems to be one of the most, he's almost kind of like the Austrian N'Golo Kante. I'm not kidding. He really is.
I think that's a great analogy.
He doesn't have that kind of small, stocky sort of frame, but in the same way, he covers so much distance and he knows how to get forward. I actually said in my most recent little transfer kind of live stream, I did say that was somebody, if we didn't get some of the big box to box midfielders that we're looking at, I thought Conrad Lymon would not be a bad choice, actually, especially because I believe his contract expires in 2023 and he'd be a bit of a steal if you ask me. So
genuinely,
and we also said quickly Szoboszlai as well, which is absolutely sexy this whole tournament as well.
And I mean, just on those players, I mean, Conrad Lymon, I completely agree with everything you say. I genuinely believe he is that good, and I actually believe he is one of the best box-to-box midfielders. And I also believe he's perfect for Conte. I think he's the epitome of a Conte player. So if we could get any box-to-box midfielder, he would be probably top 3 on my list to get in. Again, Emil Forsberg, goal-scoring midfielder. Need somebody like him in the Tottenham team as well. You can bring him along with you. And again, Dominik Szoboszlai was amazing in that Leipzig game. He was everywhere. So they've got good players. They played really well. I don't know who they're going to bring in. Sort of what you mentioned about the lack of tactical quality from Jesse Marsch and the players sort of commenting on that it's quite eye-opening to me, because I don't really see how it gets better than Nagelsmann. So I feel like those players have been sort of privileged. Yeah, I feel like they've been privileged, and I think they're going to realize when their next manager comes in that instead of everybody being like Nagelsmann is more of a unique entity. So yeah, that Leipzig team, again, I think they'll do perfectly fine in the Europa League. I think you'll probably see a semi-final of Barcelona, Leipzig. Dortmund
Nice.
and another team probably. So yeah, there's
Europa
a
League
lot.
is tasty this year. The Europa
I've
League is
said this.
tasty this year.
I'm probably going to be watching Europa League just as much as I am the Champions League. To be honest with you. So yeah, no, that group was really good. It did live up to expectations, and I will definitely say that Conrad Lymon, man, Jack, oof, he's in my head, man. He's in my head because that game,
How
that,
are you feeling
that
some type
midfield
of way?
trio was unbelievable against Man City, and that's Man City we're talking about. So
Love
you got to be very good to be dominating that midfield. So yeah, no, it
Quickly,
was a very good group.
I think you said this before me, and then I could not have agreed more when we previously did this stream of our group predictions. I believe you said at one stage as well, Dominic Szoboszlai, maybe most underrated, perhaps the best striker of a football in the world, actually.
100%. I like I said, the only person, in my opinion, and this might be a hot take, and it might be sort of lack of knowledge of other players as well, but just off what I've seen, the only player who strikes the ball better than Szoboszlai in world football at the moment is Kevin De Bruyne, and I don't care what anybody says. I think that his technique is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. The way he puts the ball in the box is like he takes a free kick. It just pinpoint dips right where he wants it, and to have that in your team, to be able to sort of 90% of the time know that the ball in the box is going to go where you want it, it's so underappreciated, it's so underrated. And again, he strikes balls from a dead ball, a moving ball, all the same. He just, yeah. Sorry, Jack. I can't. I have no words for how he strikes
that free kick. I mean, that free kick in the Bundesliga, still to this day. I mean, ridiculous. He made it rise like like a golf ball. Seriously,
ridiculous.
Backspin. I didn't even know that was possible. I actually thought he had a remote control or something.
Genuinely
installed
ridiculous.
in the football. Group B, just to finally finish off, some of my embarrassing predictions really did not do well, I will say, everybody. So maybe don't listen to me all the time, coming. Maybe listen to Darius a bit more when we go into the next ones. But Atletico obviously kind of snuck into this one. They really did. And they were not pretty to watch. Honestly, for the shithousery, beautiful to watch. But apart from that, they were not great to watch. Liverpool absolutely smacked up everybody, just showed their strength, showed that they are the best team in that group. AC Milan, started quite well against Liverpool in that first match, and then were a bit hard done by, in my opinion. And they kind of dropped into they kind of dropped down. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like, obviously I think predicting Atletico to top this group was a bit ridiculous. When I kind of look at it, I think a bit of another hot take that probably I'm a bit embarrassed by. But maybe more the story is, AC Milan, not even getting into the Europa League.
Yeah. That's and you know what? I genuinely believe if they did win that game, you mentioned the game against Atletico of AC Milan, and it was was Atletico or Liverpool, the one where they were unlucky, you just mentioned, sorry.
At AC Milan, Liverpool, yeah.
AC Milan, Liverpool, sorry, yeah. That was a very unlucky game, and I think if they'd won that game or got a result in that game, I think they would have got a result in the Atleti game, which would have put them through, I believe, if I'm not wrong. So, yeah, it's a weird one. It's a really, really weird one. I don't know how I feel about AC Milan. I feel like they've got a good team and good players, and Stefano Pioli is a good manager, but is it a lack of experience in that European football, being in that level like they were back in the early, late 2000s? Is that what it is, sort of not having the players? Because it's really only Ibrahimovic who has got that experience at that level. Because, yeah, I don't actually think the team's bad. Atletico Madrid, for me, as much as people hate them, my take on Atletico Madrid is they have to be in the knockouts every single time, regardless, because I just feel like they're one of the most entertaining teams to be in a knockout stage. I can't tell you how much I love Atletico being in knockouts, and Simeone's just his antics on the pitch. And the only reason I'm sad away goals is gone is because Atletico make away goals probably the most fun rule ever, just because they will shithouse their way into a 1-1 and then just sit in camp, and they will make sure that they don't concede. So Atleti in the knockouts, I think, is a different beast. I really do believe that. My only thing is, I know they're not going to go through because they're facing Ronaldo in the knockouts, and we all know what happens when Ronaldo comes up against Atletico Madrid. So yeah, it's Liverpool. I need to say any more. Jack, you, again, I'll keep saying this every stream I come on with you, is you literally said Liverpool are probably going to go quite under the radar, and that's crazy to say, but they have. Nobody thought they would do what they're doing.
Mohamed Salah, despite these predictions that I've made here, my Premier League predictions are actually looking quite tasty at this moment.
I'm very much looking like you've sort of smashed that one out of the park. But Mohamed Salah, I mean, I don't really know what to say about him anymore. He's probably the best player in the world and has been the whole season. And if he does continue the way he's carrying on, probably one of the best players to ever play in the Premier League altogether. So
best right winger, debatably,
yeah.
probably ever.
So I don't really want to say much else about Mohamed Salah because I think enough's been said. But I actually think Liverpool could actually, with the form that he's in, it's Ronaldo-esque form from when sort of Real Madrid went on their crazy three-peat. And if he does score that many goals and contributes that much, I mean, there's no chance that Liverpool aren't going to be contenders for this title. So I think a lot of their Champions League hopes does depend on Salah keeping that sort of supernova form. But I mean, I don't think he's going to sort of slow down anytime soon. So who's to say they won't have a chance? And yeah, Atletico Madrid will always be a problem for any team. But Man United might beat him quite convincingly because it's Ronaldo. It is Ronaldo. So yeah.
Yeah. Well said. Just going to get to some comments here, everybody. You know, Simon Stevens saying Group F was a good watch. Anyone could beat anyone, and you'd love to see that. I believe Group F was that Man United group. And he says, odd one out is young boys, but we know from past experience they can give you a game. Took a super Pav rocket to sink them. I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Simon, pick yourself up. Truth Sets Free says Bayern will be champions. Not a bad shout, my man. Not a bad shout. I don't like to predict Bayern being champions because when Spurs are not in the Champions League, they are kind of the team that I do kind of root for. And I don't usually like to say that they will do it because, you know, then I feel like it just doesn't happen. So, you know, maybe I'll say finalists. I'll go for finalists or semifinalists maybe for them. They're definitely getting semifinals. I feel like they're definitely getting semifinals.
They're incredible at the moment.
Salzburg got lucky. Maybe so, Sean, but they also looked really, really good this qualifying campaign, as well as also just, you know, in the groups. They did look pretty solid, my man. True Sets Free also says Nagelsmann will win it. Showman, you know, I believe a friend of Tato is in the building. Pick yourself up, my man. Good to see you. Sean Snow feels like, you know, he kind of saw Leo maybe coming. He said Jonathan David is a beast. You can't underrate that guy. Seriously, he is absolutely on fire. Weghorst contributed nothing. Yeah, a bit sad, I will say. I do like a bit of Weghorst. He's kind of like the Dutch, you know, Chris Wood, but, you know, maybe just a bit better, to be honest. So, you know,
that's amazing.
I love Chris Woods. You know, I love the Chris Woods of the world, and, you know, he just didn't do it. But Zoe, appreciate you. Catman Jess, big up yourself, Catman. Good to see you, my man. Good to see you. Bodo Glimt is best in the league. I believe they are. Dortmund wins Europa according to Sean Snow. That is a great shout. As a fan of Leo Messi, Tato says, I want to see PSG as a winner of the Champions League and Barca as a winner of the Europa League. There you are, Tato. I will say, never really been the biggest fan of Barca. Perhaps it's just, you know, I'm just not a big fan of Pep. That's all it is. I kind of just think the guy is just a bit annoying and a bit, you know, too full of himself at times. And I think he's a fantastic manager, but, you know, there have been moments where I think he's done some questionable things with certain players and things like that. So I just kind of always had a bit of kind of a vendetta, I would say, against Pep. So Spursy says Messi greatest ever by far. Probably so. You know, David and I spoke about that, so check out that stream at some point. So Spursy, Barcelona just 2 goals in the group. Yeah, I mean, at one point as well, I believe Koeman at one point in the first match against Bayern in the Camp Nou as well. Like, I think it was like 6 in the back practically that they set up, and, you know, and they put Luke de Jong and Depay up top, and they were just like, do whatever you can, and they obviously didn't do very much. And then the same thing, I guess, in Xavi's case as well, because the moment that Xavi went, I believe 1 or 2-0 down, he also put like 5 in the back, and you're just kind of like, this is not Barcelona. Like, this is just not Barcelona. They usually play safe. Yeah, playing, and it's just, you know, I don't know. It's just kind of, they're just falling so far away from, you know, their original ways. Napoli is going to keyboard them in Europe. Big yourself up, Sean. Messi Copa del Rey final goal. Rewatch Sports Science. Yeah, it is a spectacular goal, my man. Just making sure. Irish Hotspurs in the building. Big up, David. Good to see you, my man. Thank you for joining us. Just making sure I'm not missing anybody. I'm better than Sabotza at set pieces. Alexander Hilton, you might be then the best striker of the ball in world football then. I mean, you know, I would say phone up an agent, get Mino Raiola on the phone, and, you know, maybe get that big move, you know, to a big club, because seriously, Alexander Hilton, I mean, I can't even I think De Bruyne has a good shout for maybe a better striker of a football, but seriously, what Sabotza can do with the football sometimes, it's like he's got a remote control implanted in the ball. I swear. Big up Catman, just making sure. Golden Cock is joining us. Big up Golden. He says, fashionably late, of course. I hope everyone is good. We're doing all good, Golden Cock. We're doing all good, my man. Just going to make sure Sheriff wins Europa League. That would be spectacular. That would be, that would be
even a final.
Leicester
even
City
final.
like. That would be
even
Leicester
a final.
City like.
I'd love that. I'd love that. That's a great shout there.
Yeah, I'm digging that. I'm digging that. But let's move on, everybody, to maybe now our actual round of 16 predictions here. PSG, Real Madrid. Here's what I'll quickly say. I'm going to pass it off to you. I feel like there's been a lot of statements that Real Madrid, are not like what they used to be. I completely agree. But at the same time, like we're seeing the best of Vinicius Jr. at this moment in time. We're seeing the best of Rodrigo. We're seeing the best of some other players. I mean, Luka Modric had a spectacular game against Atletico Madrid recently. I'd like to think that, Real Madrid, I can't believe I'm saying this, are no mugs. And that just sounds ridiculous. But like, I feel like, maybe we can't just say PSG are going to go by this easily, especially because they have struggled. They have obviously the firepower up top. But I don't know. I mean, I think this is maybe a better opponent than maybe people would realize. What do you feel like, Darius? What's your prediction? I might go maybe just crazy because I've already gotten most of these predictions wrong anyway. I'm going to go Real Madrid just because I want to see Real Madrid win it. So I'm going to go Real Madrid.
You know what? I actually agree with you. I genuinely do agree with you. And I actually think this Real Madrid team is a lot better than people are making them out to be as well, because they're running away with that league right now. And if you do look at the players individually, Vinicius Jr., oh my Lord. I mean, 2 years ago, you had Karim Benzema saying, on my mother's life, he's playing against us. And now it's like they're the best duo in the world. They're the best partnership in the world. I mean, stats and the numbers that they're putting on in that league are ridiculous. And just the performances that he's putting on. Vinicius Jr. is ghosting past players. His dribbling ability is amazing. And he's never not had that. But it's just been the lack of confidence that everybody at Real Madrid, I'm talking the fans, the management, and the players all had in this guy. And now it seems like he's just worked so hard. He's found a manager who's told him the right things to do, just as Ancelotti did with Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And he's turned him into an absolutely incredible player. Like, genuinely, the way he's playing now, he's on the same levels as sort of your Jadon Sancho's and even your Mbappe's and like that, because he's putting up ridiculous numbers. So this team's amazing. Luka Modric, again, I didn't watch the Atletico game, but that's the only player that I saw every single Madridista talk about on Twitter was Luka Modric and the performance he had at 36 years old as well. And again, I'm never going to not hate Luka Modric, Tottenham legend in my opinion. So
I like it. I mean, you felt like originally, though, this was Man United, against PSG, which we all maybe... on paper, I feel like that one, obviously, for selling tickets, selling, programs is by far
seems
a better
fixed,
one.
don't it?
This
Definitely
one, I feel
fixed.
like, is a bit of a better match because I feel like Real Madrid have a better chance of beating PSG than maybe Man United do.
And I agree. And I think that it will come down to how hard that front three wants to work, because I believe that Benzema, Vinicius, and Rodrigo are and will press quite intensely, because they'll understand the sort of severity and the importance of the game, and I think they'll want to work hard. I don't think Neymar and Messi per se are going to do. I think Mbappe does do the hard work, and I've seen Mbappe press, and a lot of people get onto Mbappe for not, but I actually do see Mbappe press quite a bit. It's the other two that I don't think are going to sort of pull their weight, and I don't think you can afford, with a quality team like Real Madrid, to have 9 players pressing in a Poch system. I think you do need all 11 to be working hard to cover for each other. So I think there'll be gaps in that team, and I do think that Real Madrid.
I feel like I kind of disagree. Just to cut you off, I feel like Mbappe is kind of, I feel like a Mason Greenwood, where it's like I feel like he doesn't actually press very much. Also considering his age,
maybe it's because he's so quick.
But like maybe because he's so quick, he's just gliding that it looks like he's pressing. But I feel like he does a lot of walking. He does. Mbappe does, and I feel like, but that's what I would say a good comparison would be like Mason Greenwood, where Mason Greenwood, sometimes I'm like watching him, I'm like, people are complaining about Ronaldo not pressing. I'm like, Mason Greenwood isn't pressing either. And that guy's like 21 freaking years old when you think about it as well. So it's like, why are these young players thinking that they don't need to press? It's like, I would say Mbappe, for me, actually, I would actually maybe challenge you here. I feel like Neymar is the one that actually presses up that front three the most.
Really?
Yeah. I
feel what? I would definitely say that, looking back, I think it probably is the pace that he probably gets there in 3 strides. I'm thinking, wow, he's working so hard to get there. But you know what? Thinking about it, you probably are right. And again, it all goes hand in hand. I think with Mbappe, you almost guarantee sort of goals in a certain position that he gets in. But that Real Madrid team, there's not many, if any, weaknesses significantly. And I think it's in the round of 16, you need to pull your weight every single player. And
David Alaba and Militao as well maybe could deal with that. You know,
really good defense. It is now a really good defense. And I don't know if PSG, and I notice this so much with PSG, whenever their players get into a situation where they might potentially lose or they're in a losing situation, they almost give up and start throwing tantrums and behaving very childishly. Like
actual tantrums.
I can see that happening. I can see Verratti, you know, throwing in a bad tackle because they're losing 2-0 and getting sent off and ruining it. I can just see something like that happening with PSG and Poch's job being ruined as a result of it. So I actually agree with you. I'm going to go Real Madrid too, but it's not going to be surprised. It's not going to be an easy game at all. But yeah, of course, if Mbappe and Messi and Neymar want to turn up and basically score every shot they take, then they so can do that. And no team in the whole of this sort of tournament will be able to handle that. There might be some teams that can score just as many goals as them, but there'll be no team in sort of any league or any sort of competition that will be able to handle Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe on their top form. So if you get them on their top form, they've won. If they aren't playing on their top form, Real Madrid can definitely win this quite significantly, quite easily as well.
Well broken down, my man. Well broken down. City Sporting, you know, maybe a bit of Pedro Gonçalves, you know, kind of appreciation, you know, moment. Pedro Gonçalves, everybody, I will continue to sing his name. Somebody I feel like we should go after as maybe kind of an alternative. I think you keep Lucas. Don't get me wrong. You keep Lucas Moura, but in that right wing position, you go for someone like a Pedro Gonçalves because he can play, you know, a bit centrally like Lucas kind of can. He's a very good finisher, I would say, in comparison to Lucas. He knows how to skin a man as well, knows how to be able to play a pass in behind. He's actually a bit more creative than I would say Lucas is. Lucas is just obviously sensational at just beating man after man after man. And then, you know, doing something spectacular. But I would say Gonçalves, he's looking beautiful at the moment. He really sincerely is. So I would say, you know, a bit of Pedro Gonçalves appreciation, you know, moment, but Man City are taking this.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend long on this one as well. I think Man City are going to do well. I'm just double checking. You know how you set this up? Is this sort of the teams that will play each other going into the next round of things as well? Or is it?
I think, no, they redraw it each time.
Did they redraw each time? I'm pretty sure they did, yeah. So in terms of sort of the 1v1, I don't really see Sporting having a chance in this. City should wipe the floor with them. I just pretty much want to see sort of individuals on that City team perform. I think Bernardo Silva will always perform, but I want to see the likes of Jack Grealish sort of get game time and prove himself in the Champions League. And I actually want to see Gabriel Jesus score as many goals as possible so City don't get attracted to Dusan Vlahovic in January or the summer. So please play Gabby Jesus, and Gabby Jesus, please score a bunch of goals so they don't sign a striker that we want. But yeah, no, City easily going to win this one, I think.
Well said. Salzburg, Bayern Munich, you know, Salzburg have looked fantastic. I feel like, you know, and probably play a very attractive brand of football, similar to how Bayern Munich play a very attractive brand of football. I don't see, even if Salzburg, this is the thing with Bayern, like even if they go 1-0 down, like they still kind of look like they're still going to score like 6 or 7.
It's 0-0, 1-0 for them, isn't it? Really and truly.
There never is. They play almost like some of their score lines are almost like basketball. Seriously, it really is. Like, I don't know. They play such progressive sort of football. They really try to take a ton of risks. And with taking a ton of risks, sometimes you can get exposed. But at the same time, when they just continue to play this sort of risky football, it does mean that they create a million chances. And when you got Lewandowski, Thomas Müller, Kingsley Coman, who is looking sensational again, Serge Gnabry, who's on the bench right now, which is just ridiculous,
crazy,
and Leroy Sané, who is now looking like the Leroy Sané that everybody knew about before. I don't know. Sad to say for Salzburg, but, you know, this could be a bit of a demolition.
Pains me. But again, I agree, mate. I'm so sad that Salzburg got this team in the knockouts. I'd rather than play City. I'd rather than play Real Madrid and PSG. I genuinely do. I think Bayern Munich are just the true definition of a machine. And there's, like I said, it's the same with PSG.
A bit of a soulless machine, I would say, because they
sometimes will care. They just don't care.
4-0 up and still play the same way.
Hansi Flick, I'm pretty sure Hansi Flick, when they absolutely wiped the floor of Barcelona 8-2, I'm pretty sure Hansi Flick was saying, I want more. I want double figures. Keep going. And Nagelsmann has that same mentality, which is why he's almost a perfect match for Bayern Munich. I think that he tactically will get them playing the football that they want to play. And also, I just think that quality-wise, like you said, when you've got Serge Gnabry on the bench, when you're not really seeing any significant difference in your play with Kimmich, who's been out for almost 2 months now, it's scary, to be honest. The way they are so well oiled, it's so scary. And for me, they're always a finalist opportunity. They always have a chance to be in the final. Bayern Munich. I would always say Bayern Munich will be one of the 2 finalists in the Champions League, and that's just because of their consistency and just how good they actually are. So for me, as much as I love Salzburg and the players that they do have coming up through there, there's no chance that they're beaten by. There's genuinely no chance they're beaten by Munich. So yeah, I think that's probably the lock. I think that's more of a lock than the Man City Sporting game. If I'm going to be honest with you, I think that Bayern Salzburg game is a guarantee. Bayern winning.
Yeah, I mean, again, well broken
it's very
down.
Sad.
Paris.
It's very, very sad, isn't it?
No, I mean, what I kind of like about Bayern is that they're so ruthless, but at the same time, sometimes it's kind of like, it's that whole, gif, or that, that whole, meme of like, stop, he's dead, just stop, they're down.
Please,
it really is. Yeah, they're just a bit too ruthless. But going into this one, which I think Liverpool are taking this, but this, I don't think you should, kind of turn your nose up at this one, because Inter Milan are currently, I believe, top of the league.
Yes,
in Serie A. They're doing absolutely spectacular. They score a lot of goals as well. Inter Milan can. They're looking really defensively solid, of course, with the likes of Bastoni, Skriniar, De Vrij. It's I don't know. And Brozovic, of course. And, the likes of, I think Dumfries is looking fantastic as well. I'd like to think that, this isn't going to be so easy, for Liverpool, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be so easy, especially Lautaro Martinez, Joaquin Correa, Edin Dzeko, the absolute GOAT as well. You would like to think that, this could be easy for Liverpool, but I'm not too sure.
No, I actually, again, this is another thing with Salzburg and Bayern. It's the same with Inter and Liverpool. I'm so angry that Inter got Liverpool, because I really wanted to see what Inter could do against a team that they could potentially beat, because I do think there's not much chance for Inter to go through, but at the same time, and I'm pretty sure our fellow friend Sean Snow will definitely vouch and say that team is probably just as good, if not better, than the team they had last season. I mean, Lukaku and Dzeko isn't that much of a difference, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think Dzeko's had just as good a season, if I'm being honest. I saw Sanchez have pretty decent game, scored a pretty decent goal on the weekend. I think Lautaro Martinez has had a really good season, and again, I think Hakan Çalhanoğlu has been really good as well, coming into that team and basically seamlessly fitting in. I really think he's had a really, really good season, if I'm going to be honest with you. So Perisic, again, another player that I've always, he's kind of like my other tip for you. I've always loved Ivan Perisic. I just think he's, the way he strike, again, another striker of the ball, left foot, right foot, he can strike a ball as hard as he can with both. He's really good. So I just hope that they can put up a good fight against Liverpool. And I really do wish that they got different opposition, because I do like Inter, and I think that they will win the league again this season, because Juve aren't going to win the league this season, and Napoli seem to have lost their form recently. So they've got a good team. I completely forgot about Joaquin Correa. He can't even get into the team because of Çalhanoğlu right now. I mean, Brozovic, Çalhanoğlu, and Barella midfield is very good. So I hope they can put up a good fight.
Of course, we're also
obviously. I think he's suspended though, is he not, for the first game?
That was actually hilarious. Actually, I've never seen a player crawl through another player's legs.
I mean, he elbow punched him in the back of the leg, and then got sent off. So that was quite entertaining to see. I think somebody said on Twitter, he's like, that was the biggest little brother energy I've ever seen any player give on the pitch, and I couldn't agree more. He was like the angry little brother. So no, they've got really good players, and as much as I do think that Liverpool are going to not necessarily batter them, but comfortably win, I think Inter can put a good performance and make themselves proud of playing against a team that are basically one of the best in the world. So yeah, no, Liverpool to win, but like you said, I have a lot of respect for Inter Milan, and I think that they are just as good as they are last season, and a lot of people aren't realizing that.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with what you said there, where it's just, it's a bit unfortunate, because I feel like Inter Milan, by no means, are kind of, they're a bit under the radar with how great they've been playing under Inzaghi. So Great brand of football over there. I'd like to
Made it to the
see.
knockouts as well, and like last season, so made
Very fair as
progress.
well.
Made
Very
progress,
fair, and not the easiest group, I must say, too.
definitely.
So yeah, I agree there. Chelsea versus Lille. Maybe what must be said about Lille is that they've actually undergone a pretty good spell of form recently. I
Yeah,
believe they're unbeaten in 9 games,
yeah,
as well. They do have Jonathan David, who is on fire at this moment in time. They're kind of climbing their way back up Liga. They're not doing spectacular, in
mm,
Liga, but they're climbing their way back up after starting quite horribly. So they're in good form. Chelsea, I don't know. I mean, Thomas Tuchel, it pains me to say, but I think Thomas Tuchel is debatably top 3 managers in the world.
thank you,
Um,
Jack. At least somebody has a little, despite them being Chelsea. At least you've got a bit of sense to actually say that, because I think that I agree with you, mate, and I'd like you to explain why, because I think we're gonna have the exact same reasons why.
I think he's, probably combined, maybe this is a bit crazy, but he's actually combined the likes of like kind of that German, kind of gig and press sort of, choke your opponent sort of
Mm,
style, along with actually very conservative, like
yeah,
defensive structure. And I think that just makes it so that they are just a really difficult team to beat.
yeah,
Even when they don't really lose very much. They usually
no,
just come out with a draw if they don't even play that well. They somehow are able to make it so that he's so tactically, uh, I don't know, so tactically able to change things when things don't go right.
mm,
He doesn't, just stick with the same old and kind of just goes into it kind of blind. They run out of strikers, let's make Chilwell and Reece James their top scorers, and things like that. It's just these sort of changes
so
that
true.
I just feel like he is, in my opinion, probably, and also as well, maybe just take yourself back to when Frank Lampard was there and all the
Mm,
Chelsea fans were, crying and moaning, saying, like, oh, like we're on the decline. Nobody, like nobody can just walk in and do better than Frank. And, like I think at one point I was hearing people saying like, oh, like, Tuchel, he's just going to play all of his German buddies. And it's like, I think they're forgetting that Germany is a bigger country than the UK. So, it's not like they all know each other from a little small town or anything. But seriously, he's did a spectacular feat in getting them back into the Champions League when they were actually so far below. And then also
with
as
it.
well as winning the Champions League that season when we all thought they were probably going to get knocked out quite early. He hasn't even had, a ton of reinforcements when you think about it as well. Like he's kind of just
Got
played the
Lukaku
players that Frank
yeah,
Lampard got, all the players Frank Lampard got. He's just kind of stuck with that. Romelu Lukaku, of course, he got in, but
and he's
doesn't
been injured.
necessarily need to use them, I guess,
Yeah, it's
So
ridiculous. It's so ridiculous when you say now. You keep saying things, and I'm just like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Wow, that's
yeah.
true. It's
So
ridiculous, man.
I think Tuchel, I mean, I do, at the end of the day, I do have to really respect Pep Guardiola. I feel like, though, my feeling with him, though, is that he needs, a transfer budget the size of a small country's GDP. So, I feel like Thomas Tuchel, I would actually put him up. I think it's Klopp, Tuchel, Pep.
Mm,
That's just my feeling at the moment, but maybe a bit of a hot take. But I see them winning this. Even like the fact that supposedly they're in bad form right now with Thomas Tuchel, I
that's
kind
what
of don't
yeah,
really see it.
that's
I
what I
really
heard
don't
as
see
well,
it.
mate.
They're allowed to go through a bad patch of form,
But
like
this,
and
what
even
is a
the
bad
bad
patch
patch
of
of
form for
form
them? Conceding 2 goals in a game, like that. That's
and
what I
still
mean.
winning. It's still
It's
winning as well.
ridiculous,
Like
mate.
so, I don't know. I think they're going to probably, sadly, probably will they destroy Lille? Probably not, because that defense is actually doing quite well. Lille's is, but they will just make it really difficult for Lille to even get out of their own half. They will make it very difficult for them to even score as well. So I see Chelsea just practically just choking out Lille in this one. Kind of submission style, and feel pretty bad for Lille at at the end, because Chelsea are not a fun team to play. Not a fun team to play. But do you have any final words, maybe, until we move on to
Oh, I
Villarreal to
do.
Juventus?
I definitely do. I've been preaching the Thomas Tuchel hype for
Love it.
before he even joined Chelsea. I said, I hope. I literally said in November, what was it, November 2019, before Jose joined. I said, I hope that PSG mess up significantly so we can bring him in January. And they did mess up and they sacked him. We didn't bring him in, obviously, but that Chelsea team and Thomas Tuchel as a manager for me. He is cultivated and created the best system at the moment in the world by far. And the reason why I think people hate on the way that they play is because it works at the end of the day. play defensively and you can attack so quickly and so energetically. Why not do that? Why not make yourself so hard to, like you said, the cliche saying is what, attack wins games, defense wins leagues. So why not create an absolutely ridiculous defense and then build on that with the attacking plays that you've got? I think he's just created with the 3-4. Is it a 3-4-3 he plays basically? I think he's created a system that I think a lot of people will copy in the next 3 to 5 years, and that will probably become the new 4-3-3 in my opinion, because it just, the 3-5-2 or the 3-4-3 just covers every area on the pitch. There's no area on the pitch that you don't have a player there. So for me, again, you can play 2 attacking or 2 more attack-minded midfielders, knowing that you've got 3 centre-backs behind you. So he's just found a system that works. He's obviously got the players to play the system, and he's got a lot of good players to do that. But at the same time, he's come into a team and basically just took them from 8th place to Champions League winners and potential Premier League winners in the space of 18 months. That doesn't go unnoticed. He's an incredible. He
also was able to somehow make Messi or make Neymar, Mbappe, that whole thing work as well. You know, somehow, like,
he made
was
that
able
work.
To player manage them with a broken foot the whole time as well.
And people didn't really want to appreciate that. And Neymar's stats under Tuchel are ridiculous. Probably the best stats he's ever put up at PSG. So there's evidence to suggest that it wasn't actually going that bad at PSG, and maybe it was more Leonardo and the fact that everybody just seems to hate that guy, and it doesn't seem like it was really Tuchel who was at fault. But I agree with you on the match in hand. I think that Chelsea win this quite easily. I think they choose whether they want to batter Lille or not. If they want to go out and score 6, they definitely can. If they want to take it easy, you know, preserve energy, not concentrate on the league, but, you know, I feel like they could take off a few players if they're winning 2-3-0, you know, bring on players in for that might not play in the league games as much. I just think that Chelsea have got a lot of competitions to focus on, and I think that they're going to go for sort of 3 trophies. I think that Chelsea are going to want to win 3 trophies this season, and if they even get sort of a Premier League and an FA Cup, or a Champions League and an FA Cup, they'll be much more sorted with that than sort of going all out for this game and potentially losing, but they won't. And I think that Chelsea, again, like Bayern Munich, like even again Real Madrid, they will be up there and they will always be competing with a manager like that and with the squad like that they've got. So yeah, I think it'll be pretty simple win for Chelsea.
Yeah, I think, you know, unfortunately so, because I do feel like Lille, you know, they have a few players that I probably would take over at Spurs, but Villarreal, Juventus, you know, this one could be interesting, especially since Allegri is not doing too hot. He's doing okay in the Champions League, but Villarreal, you know, have actually impressed, I would say. You know, Danjuma is just on fire right now. You could cook an egg on him. Maybe this one again is another fixture where probably actually a bit, you know, bit more, you know, kind of difficult to predict than maybe some people would like to think. Maybe Villarreal could get, you know, a bit of an upset here. Also because Juventus are known for now, you know, kind of dropping out early.
1-5 is going to knock out Juventus. You heard it here first. This is my sort of upset result, because as much as I do believe that sort of in the sorry, I'm just going to go back. I just want to have a look at the knockout rounds. Who believe it is. Who do Inter play in the knockout rounds again? Is it Real Madrid that they play?
At Liverpool.
Liverpool, sorry. That was one. I could see an upset happening in that one. I don't think it will, but I could see an upset happening in that one. This is the one I believe will be the big upset that everybody's like, wow, Juve have gone out again. And is it really an upset? I mean, look at how Juve have been in Europe in the past few years. They've been absolutely awful ever since that sort of coming in of Pirlo and bringing in of Max Allegri again. I thought they were going to do fine, but I thought they were going to be back where they were, but they've just not been good. They've just not been good at all. And I'm pretty sure I've not seen barely any Juve this season. I'm pretty sure Sean can tell me how they've been playing sort of in Serie A, but they just haven't been good.
Pretty to watch.
They just haven't been good. Let's be honest. And I just think that Villarreal actually just look like a better team than Juve at the moment. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I actually think they will win. Not convincingly, but I think they'll win. And I don't know what's going on with Juve. I actually think Juve probably in a worse off position than Barcelona. I'm going to be so honest. Apart from financial reasonings, I think on the pitch wise, I think Juve are in a worse position than Barca. They've not got as good a squad as Barca, in my opinion. And I just don't know what's happened to Max Allegri. Does he really have it anymore? Have people sort of sussed out? Is football? Is it sort of like the Jose thing where football's moved past the way that he plays? And I don't know, but it's just not working out at Juve, and I don't see it working out here in this game. I think Villarreal are going to win. I really do believe that.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because I've always I watched that Juventus, Netflix documentary a long time ago. And, I will say I don't speak Italian, but at least the Italian that Allegri spoke just sounded absolutely fantastic. And as well as he's a very long, kind of lanky, kind of skinny kind of guy as well. He looks pretty hilarious on the training ground. But yeah, like you said, I think maybe he's just football's kind of passing him by potentially. But Atletico, Manchester United, this one is interesting. It's basically the devil versus, the Red Devils. One would like to consider themselves to be the devils, where I would say, you go past the gates of hell, you take probably a few more, doors past, and then you see Atletico Madrid.
100 million%.
They're like, they make Voldemort look like, seriously. I mean, I think, calling them the Voldemort of, the Champions League is actually not a real service to them. They're even more evil than that. Atletico, I love Atletico. I love Diego Simeone. The all black suit as well is just, it's just so prime. It's so beautiful. It's the assassin sort of like suit. Apparently as well, I didn't even know about this, but quick fact about Simeone. He doesn't actually, I saw this against Klopp where he didn't shake hands with Klopp, but apparently he does that every match, as well. Where he just walks into the tunnel right away after a match. He doesn't even shake hands with the opposing manager, which I just think is fantastic. It is just fantastic. But Atletico, Man United, first match is in Atletico, or is in Madrid.
It's a big factor. I mean, I don't know what to say because I really don't want to say this, but this is how I feel. I love Atletico Madrid so much. Just everything you say, mirror it, double it, give it a boombox. I'm going to repeat that because I agree with you. I think Simeone, and me personally, I would say, like, I wouldn't call myself a football purist in the slightest, but I watch football to enjoy watching football. I like to see teams play good football. But I mean, there is 100 million%, and anybody who says this is wrong, in my opinion. There is 100% room for teams like Atletico Madrid. I think they are the epitome of what football should be, because football isn't played in one way, and you can win games in so many different ways. And Simeone's been doing this for 10 odd years now, and he hasn't really changed much. I'd say only this year and last season he's really sort of drastically changed what he's done in that Atletico team, sort of going to a 3-4-3, having a bit more, trust in that team to sort of go out and score goals instead of holding on to leads. I think that he now has the players, especially with the likes of Llorente and now Rodrigo de Paul, who I think is, again, an absolutely unbelievable player. I love him. I love him.
I actually think he's the best passer in world football.
The way he sprays passes, threads passes through, sprints. He's perfect player for Simeone. Great player. I love him so much. But I do think that that Atleti team, there is room for that team. And I said this earlier on, I would automatically put them in the knockout stages if I could. If I was ahead of UEFA, I'd just say, yeah, Atleti can go through to the knockouts because they just make it entertaining. Simeone in his black suit, the only person who wears a black suit better is Antonio Conte, in my opinion. Simeone is just he's too clean with it. I mean, I love him. I love every single player. I love the way they play. I love the way they fight. I love the Metropolitan. I love everything about him. I do really love Atletico Madrid. And the only reason I'm saying they're not going to win, and I know for a fact they're not going to win, is because Ronaldo's on Manchester United's team, and anytime Ronaldo plays Atletico Madrid, you know what the result's going to be.
Them.
So
he'll save them like he always has.
I think Simeone, once he saw that draw being redone and saw that Atletico got Man United, I think he was punching the air with so much force because he knows, shit, it's Ronaldo. I'm not going through. So
yeah.
That is literally the only reason why I'm saying that Man United are going to go through, because what he does to that team, any Atletico fan would tell you how much they hate that man. So yeah, I love Atletico. I love Simeone as much as you do, Jack. But yeah, it's got to be Man United, unfortunately, just solely because of Cristiano Ronaldo and his beef with Atletico Madrid.
I kind of, I can't argue with that. I really can't. But I certainly will be rooting for Atletico.
Oh yeah. If they win, I'll be over the moon, my friend, over the moon. And I want them to get revenge, or not even revenge. I just want them to play Liverpool again because I'm loving that rivalry at the moment. think it's amazing.
The Simeone Klopp, antics are pretty great. I would honestly say, I'd love to see Simeone and Arteta in the same room. Probably
Oof,
Arteta would just be skin and bones by the end of it
oof,
as well.
finished, mate.
Because, seeing Arteta at one point, or should I say Sharteta, at one point, he, went up against Klopp, and I was kind of like, this guy's,
He's giving it all,
this
wasn't he?
guy's
Giving
won,
the
like,
fingers like that and everything. I was like,
it
what
was
are you doing?
ridiculous because I was like, Klopp, has stared down the eyes of Simeone, which, like I said, is probably like staring through the gates of hell. And
Not
so
for the
Klopp,
faint-hearted.
was able to do that. I mean, he's definitely not afraid of a Sharteta. So,
I love that,
I don't know. I think, Simeone will probably lose this one. I'll be absolutely gutted, but I wouldn't be surprised, kind of like you said. Benfica, Ajax.
Oh, good game.
This is going to be interesting. I think Ajax are going to take this, but
Yeah,
what does make this interesting is, like I said, Jorge Jesus, he plays a very pragmatic, defensive, organized, just efficient sort of defensive football. And that is maybe a decent antidote to something like an Ajax, where you
yeah,
don't meet them head to head. You actually let them play their game. And then if you
frustrate
defend
themselves.
well and you play, pragmatic, they're also great shit houses
Mm,
as well, actually,
mm,
Benfica are. So maybe they could get into Ajax's head, especially with the first match being at home for them.
mm,
Maybe they get into Ajax's head and, actually kind of stifle them. And you have Darwin Nunez and Uremchuk up top with also
mm,
Rafa Silva, who's not a bad player either.
mm.
You could actually see them maybe. I could see them actually in the first leg. I think they'll still lose, but I could see them in the first leg actually snagging like a
A 1-0.
1-0.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I really do like that, Jack, because I agree with you. The only thing is, I actually think that I think it was Zoe. I definitely believe it was Zoe who asked a question earlier on. She asked if this Ajax team was better than the 2019 one. In terms of the way they play, I do think they play better football now. I just think that the individuals in that 2019 team will never
We're
be
better.
topped. Just sort of Ziyech, Frankie de Jong, Andre Onana, Matthias de Ligt, Dusan Tadic. You're not going to get better individual players than that. But I do think that they actually play better football now. So yeah, I agree with you. Benfica, again, very, very similar to Atletico in terms of they are bastards to play and they will muddy up. And let me just say one thing about this. Cassie Meyer back 2-3 years ago, do you think ever you would have saw Jan Vertonghen in the knockout stages of the Champions League again?
Oh, I'm loving
Partnering
it. And
the
he's doing
likes of Nicolas
spectacular over there.
Otamendi. Like, them two would play really well, Otamendi and Vertonghen.
They have
So
a good partnership in that back five. Yeah.
Otamendi in the last game, I literally can't remember. I'm so sorry. I can't remember who Benfica did play in their final game. I'm just going to look. I believe it was Kiev, wasn't it? Because Bayern played Barca. But Otamendi...
No, Jan also defended really well against Bayern Munich, actually,
and
as
Bayern
well.
Munich
Like,
as
he
well.
defended really well.
I just remember just certain games because I did watch that group quite a lot. I just remember sort of seeing Jan Vertonghen and thinking, wow, you have basically struck gold. You left Tottenham to be carrying on playing sort of Champions League football and compete for titles. So I think him and Otamendi have the experience. They may be on the sort of older side, but centre backs aren't really the youngest normally. So I honestly, that 1-0 in the first game, don't count that out. Honestly, I really do see that happening. But I just think that, like you said, I think Ajax will choke them out and will probably score maybe 4 or 5 goals in that second leg. And if you score 4 or 5 goals, I don't really see Benfica doing the same. So yeah, I'm going to say Ajax. But again, I really am sort of watching out for Benfica and the individuals that they have in their team.
All right, now it's time to give your semifinalists, your finalists, and then your winners. Darius, I will start it off here.
No,
I am going to go Bayern Munich as a finalist, Liverpool as a finalist, as a semifinalist, excuse me. Bayern Munich as a semifinalist, Liverpool as a semifinalist, Manchester City as a semifinalist, because I feel like they always get into the semifinals.
Yeah.
And then, this one is tough. I'm probably going to go Chelsea actually as well. That's kind of insane. 3 Premier League teams I could see that happening. 3 Premier League teams in the semifinals.
Do you want me to switch it up a bit? I'm going to actually take a bit.
No, you don't need to, and then maybe I'll take it a step further. My finalist would be then Bayern Munich against, I think I'll go Bayern Munich, maybe City for the final as well. And then I, would have to back Bayern to win it, but that would be, I've been looking forward to seeing, Pep Guardiola go up against Bayern Munich because they play similar brands of football. It's just one of them is a bit more risky than Pep's, Bayern's is a bit more risky than Pep's, but I could see though, like, maybe Pep's team potentially, getting kind of unlocked actually by, especially their defense. I could see it getting unlocked by the way Bayern play, being it's so like kind of like I said, just the way the German teams play, they just like choke out their opposition and just make football not fun. They just make it not fun to play because they press you so high. They basically
Can't do anything.
dominate your side of the half. They just never lose it. And, you know, like they play the high line like more than you even understand what a high line is. It's like the center backs are like almost outside the 18, you know, at times. So, you know, that's how much they love to dominate a team. And I could see the likes of Man City, you know, they'll play super pragmatic, you know, they'll play, you know, really possession based football. But when Bayern do have it, and then maybe Bayern, let's say, lose it in the final thirds of City, will City be able to break out of that press? Maybe so, maybe not. Who's to know? But I'm going to go Bayern Munich, Man City finalists. Of course, you know, the draws could end up happening a different way where that just is impossible. But yeah, those are my two finalists, and then I would go Bayern to win it.
I thought that was amazing, mate. I was so amazed listening to what you said there, because I actually agree with everything you said there, mate. I thought that was amazing. I agree. German football is my favorite football. In terms of the managers, if you just look at the quality of German managers, I think that says enough for me. Sort of, I'd say probably the best, maybe 2 or 3 out of the 5 managers in the world are German. Hansi Flick.
The top 5 managers in the world are all German.
Thomas Tuchel, probably all top 3 managers in the world. So yeah, no, I'm not going to say anything else on German football, because again, I think we could probably have an entire video on how much we love German football. So yeah, in terms of, just to double check, you said Bayern and then the 3 English clubs, barring Man United in the semi-final, didn't you? Liverpool, City, and Chelsea.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, City, Liverpool, and Chelsea.
I think I agree. I think I do agree. I think
maybe PSG could make it. Maybe you can make a case for PSG making it that far.
I'm going to go for a hot take. I'm going to go for a really hot take. I'm going to go Bayern and Liverpool, because I think Liverpool will knock out City in the next round after this for some reason. Yeah. And I'm going to go for, this is crazy, but I'm going to go for Real Madrid. And my other semi-finalist is going to be Ajax. I genuinely think that Ajax will get into the semi-finals. And the only reason I believe that they will is, one, I think Ajax will, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but Ajax, I think, will get lucky and maybe get like a Benfica now, and then potentially Villarreal in the next round, which will then automatically lead them to, I believe that's the semi-final, if I'm not mistaken. But regardless of that, I just think that the football that they play and the quality that they play and sort of the determination that they will show more than the other teams, I think will just put them in that category to at least compete with those teams. And I want to see a Real Madrid Ajax rematch, because that was such a fantastic game. The 4-1, I'll never forget that game. That was an incredible game. And I think those two teams are really, 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 really underrated. I think that Real Madrid and Ajax are going under the radar so significantly. The only other team I really think that could...
Ancelotti, the Europa League, Ancelotti
he's got three Champions Leagues under his belt as well. So yeah, I think the only other team I can see replacing Ajax would be Chelsea. I wouldn't even put I won't put Man City in there. I think Chelsea have got Man City's number. I think Tuchel beats Pep on a two-legged basis. So I'm gonna go for semi-finalist Ajax, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, and Liverpool. And to win it, I do think Bayern Munich will win it. I just have a feeling that there's sort of the feeling with Bayern Munich, and when you play Bayern Munich, like you said, it almost feels like you're going to lose already. And the way that they play are sort of, if you have players running in your face, pressing you in your own box, giving you less than a second to breathe, it's so off-putting, and it's demoralizing almost. So I think that Bayern Munich will just...
You have to have your wits about you. Like you
have to be mentally there. And I think the only teams that are mentally capable of handling that Bayern press all game are the maybe City, Liverpool, and Chelsea, because they sort of play that sort of style of football. But I don't think any other team can handle Bayern Munich in over 90 minutes. I definitely think Liverpool, City, and Chelsea can. So PSG, no chance. Real Madrid, no chance. And Ajax, no chance, in my opinion, against Bayern Munich. So, yeah, I'm going to go for Bayern Munich to win the whole thing.
I think PSG actually are going to get embarrassed. Maybe another hot take. I think they're going to get embarrassed by somebody, because my feeling is the way that even PSG made it past Bayern last season, like you really take yourself back to those two legs. Take yourself back to those two legs. It was like both fixtures, like Bayern had something like 70% possession. like 40 shots on goal. Like it was just like if they put away, and also they had Choupo-Moting up top for it as well. So no
Yeah.
Lewandowski.
No
If you
Lewandowski.
really think about it, like
Yeah.
they're
They
able
would
to choke
not be in
out the
that
likes of
competition, would
PSG.
they?
They're able
Yeah.
to probably, that means though, not even Bayern. That means Liverpool could do that to them.
Yeah.
Man City have already destroyed them
Yeah.
before. And I could see Chelsea also giving them a number as well.
Agreed.
So I think there are plenty of teams that could actually embarrass PSG. I do feel like there are plenty of teams that could embarrass PSG.
I think that it's one of them where if you've got individuals like PSG, you can always put a bet on them and be confident. But when you have teams, and when I say teams, I mean teams that have been with each other for a long time, and then teams that are, and I'm not discrediting Poch whatsoever, but something about Nagelsmann and Bayern, I just think he knows he knows how to get the best out of one of his players. And I still feel like Poch is accommodating his system to those three up front because they are that good. I don't even think Nagelsmann would allow that. I don't think Bayern Munich as a club would allow sort of individuals to dictate how they play football because they are all for that team. Even if Lewandowski's scoring 50 goals a season, he's still going to play in a system that benefits the entire team. So for that's why I just rate Liverpool and Bayern Munich more than I do PSG and even Man City to an extent. But again, Man City is so wonderfully coached by Pep. Again, he can lead them to a semi-final. It just seems that they're cursed and they can't get over that final stretch. So that's why I'll never sort of bet for City. That's literally it. But I think it will be Bayern Munich. I definitely think it will be Bayern Munich.
Loving that. On to the Europa League to finish off with.
Ooh.
Dortmund Rangers. I would say Dortmund take that. Zenit Real Betis. Real Betis did just beat Sociedad 4-0, and they did look pretty good. I think Zenit, though, have a few decent players on that side, though. Claudinho has looked good. Sardar Azmoun obviously has a huge home in this
he worked
channel.
very hard, Sardar Azmoun, by the way. I know that's your guy. I was only paying attention to him because of the fact that you obviously love him so much. And he's the one thing that stood out for me when I watched him play. He's a hard worker. He really gets about on that pitch.
He's quicker than maybe he looks as well. He's fantastic in the air. Actually one of the best aerial players I've seen in some time because I believe, like I said, I think he has some volleyball background or something like that. And so that means his vertical is like ridiculous. And so I could see, him potentially, I'm actually going to go for Zenit for that one.
Yeah. Same, by the way. Yeah.
Maybe we finish, with the Napoli Barcelona last.
Save that one, please.
Sheriff and Braga. I always have a soft spot for Braga. They are a nice small club. They have that huge rock mountain face, in the background in their stadium. But Sheriff, I actually think Sheriff will take this one. I want
Sheriff to go all the way, man.
We're going Sheriff with that one. Porto Lazio. That is a good one.
Good game.
That is a good one.
Very good game. Porto for me. I'm going to say it just now.
Porto.
I think Porto are, again, Portuguese team. This is just Portuguese teams in general. Portuguese teams are, like you said, and you mentioned this a few times, such a pain in the arse to play. And as much as it's a pain to play teams like Bayern Munich, who are going to just choke you out, it's just as worse to play teams like Atletico and Porto, who are defensively so good. It's almost like you have to be perfect to get goals against them. But I just don't think Lazio are as good anymore. Sarri's still there. I don't even know what's going on really at Lazio. To be honest,
they started hot and then have kind of gone a bit cold, I would say, over at Lazio. But
I'm going to go Porto for me. Sorry to interrupt, but I am going to go Porto for me. Yeah, definitely.
I'll just go Lazio just because maybe just to support, Milinkovic, Savic, and Ciro Immobile, who I do have. I do like Immobile a lot. Yeah. Maybe he will, upset the but I agree, that's been probably the theme of this, show is Portuguese teams are just, they're not easy to play against. Not easy. Sevilla, Dinamo Zagreb. I'm going Sevilla. Zagreb, they're not even doing good in the Croatian league at this stage. Orsic, of course, had that spectacular goal. That was probably one of the goals of the season. But no, they're not doing well this season, Zagreb are. So I'm going Sevilla there. Orsic, I would say, is just somebody I hate to say this. It's kind of like, I don't know. It is somebody that I've always kind of thought, why not just throw in a cheeky bid for an Orsic at
no some stage? Way you say that.
I've always kind of said that, where it's like I would just throw in a 15 million, 20 million bid. Maybe it's overpaying. But he could play backup striker. He could play on the left wing, to kind of do what Sonny does. He can play on the right wing. He's just, I don't know, maybe he's just a Zagreb man. Maybe he just loves playing in the Croatian league and kind of flat track bullying over there. But I don't know. Orsic, he also shows up big on big nights. He always shows up big. And he's a great finisher as well. So Perisic,
Mind
I would throw a
blown,
15
mate.
million bid for him.
Mind blown, because that's so weird. You say I think we actually might be we might actually be related. We might be twins, you know. We're same brain, because I
It's time
literally
use
thought
minds.
the exact same thing, and it was after he scored that banger, because obviously my friend's a West Ham fan, so I was watching the game with him and he scored that goal. I actually said to myself, I was like, this guy actually plays well and scores bangers every time I watch Zagreb play, and he bagged the hat-trick against my team. Why not bring him to the lane? I literally just said, why not put in a 10, 15 million pound bid? Just bring him here and just see what happens. Because every time I watch him play, he just seems to do something that makes me think, is he actually that good, or is he just, getting lucky when every time I watch him he's just playing a good game? So yeah, I'm happy. I'm over the moon you said that, mate. That's made my entire day. Thank you so much.
I've had that exact same thought. Like, is this guy God. Like, just playing me? Like, is he just toying with me? Like, does he
every
just
time
show
I
up
watch him, he's
nights?
having a worldie. Like, do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely
ridiculous.
He is
kind of crazy. He is a crazy player. So yeah,
Orsic,
everybody.
Well.
Just
whoever said that was a deflection, shut up. That was not a deflected goal. That was world class. That's what it was.
I don't know. I think, I hate to say this, some people thought as well it wasn't, good defending. I was like, do you really think somebody was going to take a shot from there? Like, come on now.
I will get angry. I don't want to hear it, mate. Let's just move on.
let's just respect good goals. Let's just respect good goals. Atalanta, Olympiacos. I'm not too sure of what's going on at Olympiacos at this stage.
Neither.
I know they have that. It's En-Nesyri. It wasn't En-Nesyri. What's his name?
Is it? Oh no, El-Nazir. Not El-Naziri. Is he? I thought he played for a different team.
There's one striker they have up there that's not half bad, actually.
Let me double check. Sorry. Yeah, I don't really know much about Olympiacos. I'm not going to lie to you, Jack. So that's why I'm probably just going to say Atalanta, just because I just love Atalanta so much.
They're top of the Greek league at this moment in time, but they're. Let's see, what's his name? I don't see it at this stage. But El Arabi, that's his name. He is not. Familiar. He's never been that bad, actually. He's always looked kind of decent, and he has a good finisher as well. So he is. But I don't know, like potentially, a team that I think they're going to get undone, easily by Atalanta.
Agree.
But yeah, I don't know. I would just say, just for flat cap purposes, El Arabi is not a bad player. Sociedad, Leipzig. Now, this is probably the second best fixture right here, but I think Leipzig, I hate to say this, are just going to destroy Sociedad.
You think it's going to be a trouncing? Do you think it's going to be a battering?
I think with the new manager bounce, the way Leipzig play, the quality of players. I know that, up top, you got Porto, you got Porto, you got Oyarzabal, you got Isaac, but like, I hate to say it, like Spanish football up against German football at this moment in time has not done too well. Like a lot of Spanish teams do really crumble to a lot of the German teams. So that's kind of my logic behind it. It's just the high press. Like in the Spanish league, it's just you don't see teams high press. You don't see teams, risk, maybe being played over the top. Spanish teams don't even really play over the top very much. So they have to like figure out a way to beat, that sort of German style as well. And I don't know. I see Leipzig actually, sadly, maybe destroying Sociedad.
I kind of
bit of a hot take though.
I don't actually mind Sociedad as a team. I think they were top of the league. I mean, at one point for quite a while.
Yeah, they were.
I mean, David Silva, I've heard good things about David Silva at Sociedad. Apparently, he's basically the same David Silva as he's been sort of in the Premier League. But for me, I've always loved the RB teams, and I don't really see why they get the hate. I can see why they get the hate, but if you don't care about that sort of stuff, then I don't really see a reason to hate RB Leipzig, because everything they do is very much sort of how football, how I believe
worse
football
clubs out there in terms of
I mean Leipzig, for example, they're scouting and I don't know, this isn't something you should sort of enjoy a club for or like a club for, but I think it's definitely a reason for they're scouting and the countries that they go to find the talents that they find. I mean, it's the reason they make so much money off their players, because they're willing to give these players from these countries, especially the African countries, European countries, that you never really hear many players be, scouted from and given a chance to. Leipzig will give you that chance, and they have partnerships with academies in these countries that allow these players to develop. So I absolutely love the Red Bull teams. I've always loved Salzburg, I've always loved Leipzig, but for me, they actually are good enough now to actually be considered like a big team, and I think as a big team and the players that they've got, they have to be going out and like you said, beating Sociedad convincingly. Because if you look at these 16 teams here, well, not even 16 teams. This is just the knockouts. I mean, this isn't even the Europa League round of 16. If you lose Barcelona or Napoli, you still got West Ham. Leicester aren't in there anymore. There's still about 5 or 6 or 7 good teams in that Europa League. So it's going to be whoever wins this Europa League. It's not going to be like you got knocked down into Europa League or you won a Europa League. I think it will be considered quite a big achievement by whoever wins Europe. Even if Barcelona win the Europa League, I think
there's some mean teams in here.
Yeah,
some mean, tough teams in here. Really.
So I think it's important. And I'm very, very happy that these Champions League teams come into the Europa League because I just think it gives Europa League so much more meaning and importance. And like I said, if you as a West Ham, and this is just West Ham for example, if you win that Europa League and get to the Champions League, you don't do very well in the Premier League. That's a fantastic season. And if Barcelona or Dortmund or a Leipzig, for example, who Leipzig have never won it. I don't believe Leipzig have won a trophy in their history yet. I'm just thinking back. I don't think they've won a DFL Pokal. They haven't won a league. No, I don't think Leipzig have won a trophy in their history yet. So
yeah,
to go and win this would be a great trophy to go and start and win. I really do think that this competition is the best one we've had in a long time, in a really long time. So yeah, Leipzig to win, Atalanta to win, Barcelona to win, Dortmund to win, Zenit to win, Sheriff, come on Sheriff, Porto and I'm gonna go Dynamo Zagreb. I'm actually gonna go Dynamo Zagreb just because of Orsic. After our little Orsic conversation, I actually want Dynamo Zagreb to go through. So yeah, that's my knockout choices.
Liking it. I'm liking it. We finish on this. Barcelona, Napoli.
Oh, I wanted you to go first because I actually have quite a bad feeling for Barcelona. I'm not gonna lie. Is it George Sampaoli? Have I got his name right? I believe
that's the Argentinian guy. I actually got really embarrassed because some of the managers who I thought would get sacked was Spalletti, Luciano Spalletti.
Not George Sampaoli.
The former Inter manager. He's looking spectacular over there. I mean, they gave Leicester City a great match as well. They're very defensively solid. They have a fantastic attack. He's just, I don't know, he, especially for at least some period of time. I mean, they were looking like they were running away with the league over in Serie A. Like, seriously, I mean, they were undefeated for a huge period of time. I feel like they play actually a bit of an attractive sort of brand of football as well. I think they're just going to undo Barcelona. I really do. There's just really good quality there.
I love it.
Maybe just the bias towards Barcelona just keeps coming through. But yeah, I just think they're going to absolutely undo them. In terms of Osimhen, I'm not sure when he returns because he's been quite injury prone, but when he does play, he's spectacular. Of course, you have Dries Mertens now coming off the bench for them, which is just ridiculous. And when he comes on, he usually scores a banger. We all know Insigne, I think, will be returning as well. There's one guy named Unas, I believe his name was, especially in that Leicester City match. He looked spectacular. I hadn't seen much of him before, but he was spectacular against Leicester City as well. Irving Lozano came off with a bit of an injury in that one against Leicester City. So maybe they might go in with, I think by then, they'll probably have most of their players back considering it's February. But Napoli, yeah, I just see them. It's sad for Barcelona because I think they'll get knocked out and get a bit toasted here.
I think it could be bad. I think this could be very embarrassing. I just hope that Xavi's given a chance because I actually think that Xavi could potentially turn things around at the club. But I think Napoli are going to win. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. I'm not confident in this Barcelona team, despite the talent that they've got. I'm just not confident, and the main thing for me is I don't think they're confident in themselves either. And I think that they'll sort of, the way that Spalletti is, he's such a character. He's so animated. I think that if he gets those guys to take the lead, Napoli that is, I don't think Barcelona have the mentality to get out of it. And that's really, really sad to say because Barcelona used to be my favorite European club of all time. I mean, I genuinely believe that I truly started to love football when that 2019 were really,
a lot of people say that,
in their prime and really were playing the football that they were playing. And it's just sad to see, to be honest. I don't agree with sort of big clubs and clubs with a lot of heritage being given opportunities and not having to suffer because they are, a historical club. I do believe that if Barcelona have decided to spend their money so poorly, they should suffer in the way that they are. But it's not it's not that it's a good thing. Now it's not a good thing. It's not nice to see this happen. So I'm not happy saying that Napoli are going to beat Barcelona. I don't want to see Barcelona in the Europa League, but I just think that this Napoli team is better than Barcelona at the moment. And again, if Osimhen is back, what a talent that guy is. He's amazing. I personally have a very, very big fond liking for Elif Elmas. I mean, I believe he's from North Macedonia.
Yeah, he is spectacular.
He's really, really good. And it's just the fact that he's from Macedonia. So I saw him playing for Macedonia and he just stood out because he was the best player for Macedonia. He's just really good for Napoli as well. And I just think that, again, I'm just looking at the team, Hervin Lozano, Fabian Ruiz. I don't know if he's fit, but Zielinski, again, I think Zielinski is
ridiculous.
There's a lot in that team that
Di Lorenzo is good defensively.
Di Lorenzo is
good defensively. I think their left back Mario Ruiz, sometimes a bit underrated. He's not half bad. So the defense is a bit more questionable, but the defense has actually been quite shored up for them actually this season.
This is what I mean. I genuinely, I really don't like saying this. It's sad to see Barcelona like this. It is, and I don't enjoy it, but I don't see them winning this game, mate. I'm guessing these are over 2 legs, right? Home and away.
I believe these are over 2 legs, but we will then move on to the fact that, of course, these are just, kind of those playoff kind of sort of rounds, because they're teams that get that bye into the next, sort of round. And that is, so maybe we go to our winners and our, semifinalists. How about we got our semifinalists, apologies, I don't have it on screen, but Lyon, topped Group A, Monaco topped Group B. I will say, though, props to Monaco, actually, because they looked pretty atrocious in the qualifying stages, and they looked for the Champions League, they looked atrocious. And then also in the Liga, they've not been so great. I forget Niko Kovac, right, is their coach.
Yes, that is the one.
Spartak Moscow was able to actually, top the group, which is a bit of a surprise there. Eintracht Frankfurt were able to top the group. Galatasaray able to top the group. Red Star Belgrade or Crvena Zvezda were able to top the group. I believe that's Red Star Belgrade.
Yes, it is. Yes, you're right, 100%.
Leverkusen topped the group as well, and then West Ham topped the group. Any of these clubs maybe...
Completely forgot about Leverkusen.
I can share my screen.
Completely forgot about Leverkusen. That is a great shot because
they do get undone, though. I will say Leverkusen quite
so
easily.
Much. So I mean, they lost. I swear they lost like 7-1 or 7-0 recently, and I'm pretty sure they did.
They got destroyed by Frankfurt the other week.
Frankfurt, wasn't it? Yeah, they got absolutely smacked. Was it 7-1? Or they won 7-1. They won 7-1 against Firth, and then they lost 5-2 against Frankfurt. That's the one. Yeah. That's a hard one.
How far do you see? We'll go one by one. How far do you see West Ham going? Semifinals? Finals.
I think West Ham. The only reason I think that this is going to be West Ham's not to lose, but I think West Ham are going to be the team that takes this the most seriously, is because every other team that we mentioned who have dropped down or who are going to have a good chance of winning this, most likely are going to confirm or guarantee that they'll be in the Champions League next season. So they're really just playing for a trophy. Whereas West Ham can play for 2 things, really, with this competition. They can play for a very, very, in my opinion, an incredible trophy to win for a club. I mean, the teams that won this trophy, Chelsea, Atletico, Liverpool, Villarreal, the big clubs. It's a big trophy, in my opinion. So for West Ham to win a trophy and get into the Champions League and not have to worry about finishing in the top 4 in the league, which is a very, very hard thing to do with Man U and Tottenham in the way that they are and potentially could be going forward. I think this is all West Ham's, and I think West Ham will probably play a stronger team going forward if they get into like the quarters and semis in this competition than they will in the Premier League, because this solves it literally kills 2 birds with 1 stone. You win this and you get a big fat trophy and you get into the Champions League next season. So West Ham finalists for me, Dortmund finalists for me, Leipzig finalists for me, and Napoli. That'll be my 4, I think.
I like that. I actually like that. I will say West Ham semifinalists. I feel like they didn't get undone by somebody, though, just because David Moyes, I feel like David Moyes, he's so used to being in the Premier League, and I feel like his style suits the Premier League.
Yeah.
What happens, though, when he comes up against, like a Dortmund or Leipzig or something like that?
Especially if Haaland is playing and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm a bit skeptical. I think David Moyes is doing a fantastic job over there, but there's just something in my gut that like maybe he might get outsmarted by somebody, or he's just not used to playing against some of these styles of football. He's not really been around the globe when it comes to it. He failed at Sociedad epically. So like, you kind of think maybe he's just great in the Premier League. It's a bit of a hot take, but Frankfurt, no. I'm going to go Napoli, semifinalists, West Ham, semifinalists, Dortmund, and then Leipzig.
Has to
I
be.
think
And you know what? That's a really, really, really good four as well, I think. I mean, I don't know who wins that. I'm just going to say Dortmund because Dortmund has a very, very massive, massive place in my heart. But any four of those teams could win that, really and truly. So I would like to know what you think. I am going to go Dortmund just because if Erling Haaland decides to, take it as seriously as he takes the Champions League, nobody beats Dortmund. But
Marco Rosa, he's been shaky. Marco Rosa has, and also Mats Hummels has sadly looked a bit shaky. Daniel Malin hasn't impressed. Emre Can, whenever he plays, there's always a mistake that's bound to happen.
I think Marco
I'm not
Reus
going to say that. I think Dortmund
best
make it far, but I don't see them taking it. Maybe this is, and I'm not really a Red Bull fan. I'm going to say Leipzig win it. I'm going to say Leipzig win it.
Do you think that they meet each other in the final, or do you think Leipzig?
No, I think they'll probably play each other in the semis, and then Leipzig, maybe outdo them. I just because I think Szoboszlai is coming into fantastic form. I think as well. Angelino is just one of my favorite fullbacks in all of world football as well.
Sorry to interrupt you, Jack, but
and then Nkunku is ridiculous.
Well, you said it. There we go. Literally, you just again two steps ahead of me. Christopher Nkunku. If he don't leave, or if he doesn't get a move next summer, and then there's something wrong with the entire footballing world. Because again, we're talking about talents and form right now. There's not many players that are better than Christopher Nkunku right now. Definitely not. So thank you for mentioning it. But yeah, they've got.
I'm going Leipzig to win it. I'm going to go Leipzig to win it. I don't really want to see it. I want to see Dortmund win it, but I just Leipzig. Every time I watch them, even when they get destroyed, they are very fun to watch.
Yeah, I want to see. You know what? I actually want to see Napoli win it because I think that Napoli again are one of those teams that haven't really been respected or appreciated and for what they've done this season. I think AC Milan, Napoli, Atalanta, and Inter are like the four teams who are going to be competing for that title. But nobody really expected Napoli to do what they're doing right now with obviously managers coming in and players coming in. So yeah, no, I respect the Leipzig decision. I'll be happy with a Leipzig win. The only team I won't be happy with is West Ham winning it. So as long as it's anybody but West Ham, I really couldn't care less. Sheriff, let's go, Sheriff, please.
Come on, Sheriff. But that'll do, everybody, for this one in terms of the Europa League, Champions League predictions. We broke down the group predictions as well. I'm looking forward to, being able to watch this. I will say what's a bit sad, is, the Conference League. We've been watching Conference League matches while the Europa League is happening sometimes. And sometimes does make me a bit sad because I do like watching the Europa League. Maybe because I'm just that much of kind of a nerd when it comes to this sort of thing. But everybody, thank you very much for joining us for this one. Darius, as always, thank you very much for joining me. Everybody, I'm pretty sure that's in the chat has, heard of Paxton Road, has seen Paxton Road. It is in the description down below if you haven't seen it before, as well as Darius's Twitter, which I will say is a good, kind of humble place to be, especially if you want to hear maybe things that don't have to do with football.
I'm just going to pre-warn you that if you do follow me, guys, on Twitter, there's going to be a lot of Spider-Man content coming up because it comes out tomorrow and I've been waiting an entire year to see that movie. So I apologize for the overdoing of the Spider-Man content, but that's all I'm going to say. I just want to say as well, Jack, I need to be on this show much more often because every time I come on this show and every time I come on this channel, we just have the best conversations. And honestly,
vibes.
An hour and 42 minutes feels like 42 seconds. It's
does.
Gone so quickly. So I just want to say thank you for being a great host and bringing me on this amazing show. Honestly, it does mean the world to me. So yeah, I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. And thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule, man. Just want to say thank you to George. Thank you so much for joining us, my man. Golden Cock, thank you so much. Elias Coys, really appreciate it. Sean Snow earlier, thank you very much. Zoe, really appreciate it as well. I know there are plenty of others. Alexander Hilton, of course, and plenty of others that were watching during this one. Really do appreciate it, everybody. Definitely. Really did enjoy this one. But as always, everybody, this is Flat Cap Euro Talk. Please hit that notification bell. Hit that subscribe button as well to never miss another one, especially if you like watching Darius, come on this show. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. But that'll be all for now. And Darius and I, we will be seeing you.